News Talk 830 WCCO. You're thinking about it. Jason's talking about it. There are no breaks on bold takes here. Buckle up. This is Drive Time with DeRusha. Now, live from Minnesota's biggest microphone, here's Jason DeRusha.
All right, another day where Minnesota and Minneapolis at the center of the universe. I don't like it. Clashes going on in Minneapolis, live pictures on cable news, on CNN, on Fox, as protesters are out protesting what happened here yesterday morning. It's Jason. Welcome to Drive Time. I want to start with a question about immigration enforcement because, man, I had a conversation with my family last night at dinner that has just stuck with me over the last 16 hours or so. If you are in Minnesota or in America illegally, shouldn't you be sent back? It's kind of a fundamental question at 651-461-9226. It's a yes or no question. If you are here illegally, so you're undocumented, you overstayed your welcome, whatever the case may be, because this question is at the heart of the visceral reaction that so many people are having today. Yes, we are reacting to the fact that a Minnesota woman, a mom, was killed yesterday. And in this show today, we'll get into whether or not the law protects the ICE agent in this case. There are many ways to analyze this. What's legal is often different from what's right and what should have happened. What's legal is different. But I think most people's reaction comes down to this idea of whether ICE should stay or should go. And we've heard throughout the day here on WCCO Radio, people on our air saying ICE should get out of here, get out of the state, get out of Minneapolis. And I get the emotional side of that. And I don't like seeing my neighbors afraid. And I guess I always thought if you came to America illegally and got caught, you would be sent home. Feels sort of fundamental to me. That what is the purpose of having any sort of citizenship status if anybody who sneaks into the country and stays in hiding long enough can just sort of be here? I'm not a big rules are rules and the law is the law sort of guy, right? You know I like to speed. But what is the point of having a U.S. citizenship if you just let people get away with being here, and even if they get caught? I don't get the argument. I really don't. But I'd love to hear from you at 651-461-9226. If you are here illegally, should you be sent home? I think that fundamental question, the polling indicates that Americans are more united on this issue than the activist would have you believe. So we heard yesterday the mayor of Minneapolis, and he's said this continually today, that he wants ICE to get the F out of Minneapolis. And we've heard former U.S. attorneys, we've heard other people on the air today saying ICE should go. To me, people are upset about the laws of America. And J.D. Vance talked about this around noon today, and we'll play Tom Homan, the border czar, in an interview that he did with CBS News, where Homan basically said, we're enforcing the laws. If you don't like the law, go vote somebody else in to change the law. But the law says here are the rules to get in. And yes, it's a civil process, but there are rules and we have a process. Let's play a little bit of what Tom Homan said with Tony DeCopel on CBS Evening News last night. They played a version of this interview talking a lot about reaction to whether or not the officer was in the right in the killing here in Minneapolis. But in the extended interview that they put on YouTube, I thought it was very interesting. Some of this conversation about really the underpinning, the bottom line question, the number one question in our community right now, which is whether we should be sending people back who are here without proper documentation.
You want less ICE agents in the street? Then let us in the jail. They're sanctuary city. Let us arrest that public safety threat that you decided to lock in a jail cell. You made that decision. Let ICE officers talk to that person. Because when you get fingerprinted, or you get arrested tonight, you, me, or anybody else, you get fingerprinted, your prints are run against NCIC. They also run against DHS databases. So we know this person is sitting in that jail right now that we have a warrant for, or is a prior deport. Give us access to that person. When you're done with them, let us have them. That way, safer for the public, because you're not releasing public safety threats back into the public. It's safer for the officer, and it's safer for the alien. Let us in the jail. So, I've said it 1,000 times ever since this, I've been doing this job. Let us in the jail. There's no downside to that. But the sanctuary city politicians say, well, we're a welcoming community. We're a sanctuary city because we want victims and witnesses of a crime that are in the United States illegally feel safe to come to us with fear we're not working with ICE. That's crap. Victims and witnesses of crime don't want the bad guy released back in the neighborhood either.
So that is the argument against the sanctuary city policies that we have in St. Paul, we have in Minneapolis. We do not have that as a policy, an official policy in Minnesota, but the cities have adopted that as a policy. So if you're in the U.S. without documentation, if you're here illegally, should you be sent home? 651-461-9226. Texters, Jason, you assume they have a home, but they do not. Many of these people are dreamers that came across with their parents under 2 years old. They have, they can't go back to Mexico. They don't know anyone there. I do think that we can exception this situation on and on and on, for sure. If you're asking me, do I think dreamers should be allowed to stay in the United States? Absolutely. Are there ways that we construct this where some of the people should stay? Absolutely. Has the United States of America absolutely failed in creating any sort of reasonable immigration policy? Again, absolutely. And so do you let people stay here forever because our legislators have failed? I don't know. 507 texter saying people should be sent back if they're here illegally, but there has to be a better way to do it. So my question to that is, do you really think the people who are opposed to ICE are really opposed to the tactics? Or are they really opposed to the idea of sending people and kicking them out of America? I think they're opposed to the idea in total. I don't know that I buy that it's just about tactics. Now, I don't like the tactics. I don't like the optics of going door to door, asking people for their citizenship paper. It's disgusting. And how else do you do it? I don't know. Texters saying Minnesotans and Americans, by and large, are not entirely against immigration enforcement. People here illegally should be deported. What we have a problem with is the provocative and intentionally aggressive nature of the Trump administration's way they're conducting policy. They're engaging in violent, stalker-like behavior against us. I do think that is fair. I do think that is fair pushback. But can you admit that For example, here in Minnesota, the estimates are that we have somewhere between 80,000 and 125,000 people here who are here illegally. Is it good for Minnesota to have that? Or should we enforce the laws? Should we enforce the laws? Marty's in Albert Lee on the CCO Talk and Text line, 651-461-9226. Go ahead, Marty. Thanks for listening.
You bet. Great show again. Tragic situation. I see this with the immigrants and the deportations, much like our Minnesota fraud problems. We've known there's been problems that need to be addressed for years, for decades. But the Republican Party absolutely refuses at a state and a national level to work with the Democrats to get anything done. And they're using this as theatrics. They don't want regulation. They don't want regulators. So God forbid we police our state finances until we have a gotcha moment. And the same thing with these, like somebody said, the dreamers. There are, if you're here illegally and a criminal, I have no problem with deportation. But the way they're going about it and blanketly grabbing anybody, sort it out later.
Yeah.
No, this is a free country. We don't carry our papers with us. That was Nazi Germany, and that's what they're turning this into. You and I were born here. Is our driver's license good enough for ICE if they deemed someday to pull us over and thought we looked Italian or something?
Right.
Or do we have to start carrying a passport if we have what's good enough? It's that old saying, they came for them, and then them, and then them, and now they're knocking on my door coming for me. And that's the path we're down, and it needs a correction really, really fast.
Marty, thank you. Your chance to call into 651-461-9226. Lots of texts coming in. I'll play more of Tom Homan, too, when we come back. 6,500 ICE arrests in Minnesota during the Biden years, and no one said boo, says a texter. All of a sudden, it's a bad thing to arrest people with criminal records. I'm not even getting into the issue of whether you have a criminal record or not, whether you're contributing by having a job or not. I'm just saying fundamentally, if you are undocumented and you are here, shouldn't you be deported? Drive Time, back in a minute.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I want you to have the best insurance possible. Nobody likes paying for insurance. I get it. It's Jason here, and I do have a proposition for you. The Canopy Group is a different way of doing insurance. They are my insurance agency, but they work for me. They don't work for one insurance company. They represent 16 different companies. You've got options. And so when you call the Canopy Group at 800-967-3389, maybe you're talking to somebody in Belle Plaine or Minnetonka or Le Sueur, great Minnesota people who are working for you. They're going to get you the best coverage at the best price. That's their promise. And with 16 different companies, they have this buffet of options for your home and your auto insurance. And so they can get you savings. And if they can't, they're going to tell you like, hey, you got a pretty good deal right now. Honest people looking out for you. The other thing that I love about the Canopy Group, I just called them 800-967-3389, told them how much I was paying, what my coverage was. They got me better coverage, and they saved me more than $800 in my first year with the home and auto insurance. See what they can do for you. Why not? There's no obligation. You're not locked in. So see what they've got. thecanopygroup.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
If you are undocumented, if you are here illegally, should you be sent home? Sort of, in a way, it's crazy, it's controversial. But there are many more tentacles to this, of course. Let's go to Kyle in Minneapolis at 651-461-9226. Kyle, you're on the air. What do you think? Give me a yes or a no on the fundamental question first. If you're here without documentation, if you are here illegally, should you be deported?
No. Reason is due process.
So tell me, tell me more.
Well, I feel that was a situation beforehand. We had due process. And now there's been reports of people just being shipped out to Guantanamo or overseas to other prisons.
Yeah.
Without due process.
It's the lack of trust, right, Kyle? Like, I find it very, like, when the federal government says how many people they've sent back, I doubt it. I'm skeptical. When you hear about immigration court, it's not open. Often the courtroom doors are locked and the windows are, there are no windows. So, like, we don't know what they're really doing.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fair. So that's a tactics question. The way they're doing it is what bothers you. Is the theory of trying to find people who are here illegally and sending them back. Where are you on just the theory of that?
Well, if the numbers matched up to people being criminal, like they said, ICE reports on their website, 70+% have no criminal record.
Yeah.
And are actually citizens. So what is that? That's a huge number. Any business would fail, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so
the incorrect rate is too high for comfort for you. I get that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And if I was doing that job, I would be uncomfortable doing that.
You worked at a hotel, right?
I worked in restaurants, and before that 9/11, I was a computer tech and got to work at the Marquette Hotel, which is lined up with the Drake as the two top, I believe, Hilton hotels.
Right.
And huge international presence, right? So on the second floor, I don't know if it's still that way, but it was 25 years ago, where international business would come in and all the people up there, the staff, would have a name tag on that said where they're from. And everybody had an accent, and 90% of those were Eastern European white immigrants. And interesting at the time, they said, "Oh, we're all here. We're all doing this." And there's always going to be more European people working here under the radar than there's going to be.
Other people who are.
You need brown person.
Right. Right.
You know?
Yeah. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it. Jeff's in Sauk Rapids. Jeff, you're on CCO. Do you think yes or no, should people who are undocumented be sent back?
No.
Why not?
It's clumsy. As a previous caller pointed out, it lacks due process. It's easily abused. And here's what's kind of sticking in my craw. I wish I had a buck for every time I heard somebody say, if Renee Good had or had not, fill in the blank, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
If the ICE agent had or had not, fill in the blank, blah, blah, blah. Accountability, accountability, accountability. You answered your own question. We all recognize that immigration policy is defunct.
That's a mess.
It requires legislative change. That needs to be done by the Congress. Hold them accountable. Don't send people to Venezuela or to some jails in Albania or what. No, hold your damn legislators accountable. Tell them to fix the law so it's something we can work with and something we can live with.
Jeff, thank you. Texter saying, Jason, your question's way too simplified. Should people that are here illegally be deported? If you illegally entered the United States as an adult, then yes. To allow exceptions for adults that arrived here illegally does a disservice to those who follow the process. Having said that, it is sort of a moral issue when you're saying, like, all right, what about children who had no say in the matter? Jim says, I land on the side of deportation, but there has to be some grounds for exception. So I'm with you, Jim. I think that when you're looking at children, your heart does go out to them, right? They had no choice in the illegal action. But I do want to play one more little clip from Tom Homan, if we have that, because this does go to the question of, like, yes, we can be upset about the law. We can be upset at Congress, as Jeff said, for the fact that they haven't done boo about immigration since Ronald Reagan naturalized a huge amount of Latinos who came to America illegally. We could do that again. And Tom Homan says the world has changed.
There are many millions of Americans who have come here illegally. They crossed without documentation.
This is Tony
They're
DeCola
now in the country.
asking the question.
But while they crossed illegally, they have lived here morally. They have worked hard. They have married. They are members of their community. Wouldn't your life and the life of your officers be a lot easier if there was a path to normalization for those folks? Is that something you can imagine supporting?
Let me ask you a question. Is that the way it should be? Enter the country illegally, it's a crime.
Let me tell you something.
No, let me finish. You asked the question.
Yeah.
Well, hide out long enough. Go have a U.S. citizen child and you're immune. You're above the law now. No consequences. People continue making that journey, and more people are going to continue to die. What I'm saying is, if you come to this country, hide out long enough, you're successful, hide out, that sends the bad message to the rest of the world. Either don't show up in court or ignore a judge's order. We are a nation of laws.
I think that's pretty compelling. I think it's pretty compelling. We'll talk more about this as we continue. We're going to take a break. In a minute, I want to talk about Angie Craig and Tom Emmer getting into it on the floor of the U.S. House. At the same time, everybody's clutching their pearls saying we got to turn down the temperature. So what is it? Do you guys want the temperature turned down, or do you relish the fact that everyone is out there fighting for their team? We'll talk about it when we come back.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Have you seen Chris Lindahl walking around with these giant red checks? It's Jason for my friend Chris Lindahl. I got to tell you, I love this campaign. And if you're watching on the live stream right now, you see people doing the Lindahl after they receive their big old red check. It is so cool. And it's part of what Chris Lindahl does. The idea of the guaranteed cash offer is not just, the nuts and bolts. Like, oh, you got to, yes, the good part is, like, you don't have hassles. You don't have open houses. You don't have to pay commissions to an agent. You just get a big old red check. That is the reality of it. But the heart and the emotion of it is the fact that you take one of the major stressors of your life off the table. Chris Lindahl knows the old way of selling a house is it's broken. I was talking the other day, and he's like, last year, we delivered 80% more big red checks than we've done before. And I just say, like, I'm not surprised because Lindahl gets it. You want a different way. You want an easy way. You want a reliable, guaranteed way. And that guaranteed cash offer is your pathway to a big red check. Chris is one of us. He's a Minnesotan. He's on the billboard, yes. But he knows that the guaranteed cash offer may be right for you. So get your big red check. Get to chrislindahl.com today. You can call 763-401-SOLD and get that check.
Call in.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up.
Shape the conversation.
We can have an adult conversation, and I can listen to their side, and they can listen to mine.
Be heard.
Hey there.
You got a take?
In response to the last caller, your first caller I have a problem with as well, which is a bunch of crap.
Don't just listen. Come on, jump in.
Your main demographic is not listening to what you're saying.
Your voice matters here. News Talk 830 WCCO.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Jordana here for my friends at Mini Leaf. Hear what they're saying about this brand I love.
Tell me about your experience with the night gummies.
I started using them. I think this was my third order. I heard Jordana on WCCO radio talking about it, and I thought, well, if she's doing it, trying to get off the Ambien, and I started with the pineapple gummies for sleep. That's what I take them for, is sleep. And I've been very pleased with the product. I started with the full gummy. Now I only take half, and that helps me sleep. So I'm very happy with the product, and I'm 70 years old.
And those sleep night gummies will help her sleep painlessly through the night. Those sleep night gummies are a real charm. Check out Mini Leaf's products at MINNELEAF.com. Check out that Triple Diamond Pain Cream, those sleep night gummies, or their other great products. I use them. There's so many CCOers that absolutely love them. You will too.
Mini Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minileaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Going to find slowdowns place traveling north 169, County Road 81 to 610, 494 northbound. Watching some congestion there as we move between Bass Lake Road and the Fish Lake Interchange. Highway 36 eastbound, got some slowdowns there as you make way past Snelling Avenue, heading out to Lexington. It looks like we may have a possible crash. 35W northbound near County Road 82. At least there's activity anyway. Off to the right shoulder, traffic slows as you come up from County Road D. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Dave Lee for Aquarius, wishing you a happy and cozy new year. Is your furnace giving you the cold shoulder? Aquarius has the fix for 2026 with $98 off any furnace repair. Visit AquariusHomeservices.com today.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
All right, forecast time brought to you by our friends at Aquarius Home Services, who are earning the right to be recommended. Let's get to our friend, Chief Meteorologist Chris Shade.
Our swing and a miss storm system will move out tonight. 27 the overnight low. 33 will be the high tomorrow. That's still about 9-10 degrees above average. We'll have a mostly cloudy sky. Some flurries are possible early on Saturday. The big deal is it's going to feel like winter again. 24 the afternoon high, which is average, but that northwest wind 10 to 15 will make it feel like the single digits.
Right now, it's still a pretty decent day out there, although a little cloudy, chance of rain, as Chris said. But right now, it's 32 degrees in downtown St. Paul on CCO.
Jason DeRusha.
These are my issues here, and they become yours too, because that's what this show is.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
I don't believe that anyone really wants the temperature to be turned down. I don't believe it. That is for sure the talking point on cable news. Oh, we got to turn the temperature down. Lois Olson, my friend, morning take, drive time take, talked about wanting to bring politicians of different parties together to turn the temperature down. I would like to turn the temperature down. But I don't believe that most Minnesotans want the temperature turned down. I think most of us want the temperature turned down on the side that we don't like. And so it was fascinating to see the video yesterday. Boy, don't you wish there was audio of Angie Craig and Tom Emmer going at it on the House floor. A heated exchange. And I mean, this was something. This was something. Angie Craig had said today that it went from 0 to 60. In the live video on the House floor, you see her right in Tom Emmer's face, pointing her finger, shouting. Tom Emmer looks like he's shouting back. Betty McCollum, another U.S. representative, the Democrats sort of pulling Angie Craig away. It was a remarkable, real moment seeing the two of them go at it. And so when people say, like, turn down the temperature, I don't know. I don't know that I buy it. I think we say it. It's sort of a convenient thing to go to, right? The rhetoric is what's driving people over the top. Oh, the rhetoric, the rhetoric. Is it the rhetoric or is it the world? Is it the fact that we're so polarized, that we are so dug in, that our media ecosystems are so lined up with our pre-existing beliefs? Is it that we become sort of antisocial weirdos post-COVID? That many people aren't going into the office and interacting with people who disagree with them, so you're just surrounded by everybody like you. And we've all become a little bit of weirdos that we don't know how to interact with each other. 651-461-9226. I don't believe that anyone really wants to turn the temperature down. Now, Angie Craig was on with Vanita Sawkar this morning, and Vanita asked Angie Craig, like, what was that about?
Look, I saw Tom Emmer on the House floor yesterday as we were going through our series of votes. And, it's just shocking what happened yesterday. And I called him out for the political stunt that this administration is pulling in Minnesota, sending 2,000 ICE agents to our state, to our cities. I called him out for being an apologist for this president and this administration. And it did get heated. I mean, at the end of the day, Tom Emmer accused me of not being supportive of law enforcement, and I'm not going to be lectured by anybody the day after the 5th anniversary of January 6th, which I was there during January 6th and the insurrectionists, the attack on the U.S. Capitol, for no support of law enforcement. Tom knows that I have the support of rank and file officers in Minnesota. Tom knows that, what happened yesterday was wrong, and I called him out for not being willing to stand up and, frankly, being nothing but a mouthpiece for this administration.
Now, Angie Craig is running for governor, right? And the running for U.S. Senate. Sorry about that. So she's running for Senate against Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, who is on the left of Angie Craig. So certainly for Angie Craig to take this moment and be with her party, you can look at it cynically and say, well, this was a calculated political move. But you also can say, where's the lie? Tom Emmer, if there's a fire anywhere in the vicinity, Tom shows up with a big old canister of gasoline to throw it right on it. And, you know, I think that's what the voters want. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys really do want calm, deliberate. I mean, I hope so. We try to do that on this show. But sometimes I think, like, am I doing this wrong? Should I just be, like, firing people up left and right? Joe's in Maple Grove. I don't know. I don't know if anybody wants calm, deliberate, old school politicians. I feel like that's not what people want, Joe.
Well, I just have a question. I mean, just thinking about, a lot of people are saying that what Mayor Fry said yesterday,
right,
with, this is BS, we get the F out of our city. And people are saying, he's inciting violence. But I guess to my other point is, what's the difference between what he did yesterday and what Kristi Noem did yesterday? I feel like they're kind of both.
It's the same bit. It's the same bit, isn't it? Yeah, and I brought that up yesterday when Lisa Dameth was on the show with us. And Lisa, who is running for governor and a Republican and the Speaker of the House, she was saying that, we got to turn down the temperature. But what she really meant when I pressed her was that Mayor Fry has to turn down the temperature. And she wasn't willing to call out Kristi Noem, who, in a shocking way to me, that the head of a federal agency, hours after something happened, first of all, was spreading disinformation about what went down, this nonsense about ICE agents getting their cars stuck in the snow. Like, I'd like to see the video of that because that didn't seem to be real. But we've already had we've had the vice president and the head of the Department of Homeland Security already decide that the agent was fine. You're like, what is that? I'm not saying the agent was criminally wrong, but in the first couple hours to have everybody say, like, well, I know what it is, and here's what it is, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. I agree.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you. 651-461-9226. We want someone with a brain, says a texter. Another texter, how about a comment from Tom Emmer? Oh, that would be great. Chad invited Tom on today. The Emmer team told him no. I invited Tom Emmer on yesterday. I got no response. Tom Hauser reported yesterday that Tom Emmer did an interview with some national, he's on Fox News all the time. He's on Newsmax. And did he tell Tom that the Minnesota media didn't report enough on fraud, so he's not going to talk to the Minnesota media? All right. Texters, I was glad Mayor Fry spoke like that because it was finally real and honest. That's hard to find nowadays. I do disagree with people who think that Jacob Fry telling ICE to get the F out of his city is, inflaming people and getting them to go be violent. Like, to me, that is also nonsense. I guess I think that you guys are not so easily manipulated by politicians. I don't think that angry politicians has the sort of effect that I think the Pearl Clutchers think. David's in St. Cloud. David, do you want the temperature turned down or do you want honest, real talk?
I don't know about the temperature. I'm just sick of the lying. I personally like to see politicians tell the truth for a change.
Yeah. What makes you say that? What are you thinking? What lie are you reacting to?
Well, this has been going on for for already a year now. Ever since Trump came in office, everybody's pushing back about immigration. 4 years ago, when Biden was in office, nobody said a damn thing. Let's just flood the country with millions of people. You know, as soon as Trump came in office, all of a sudden they started turning up a rhetoric. He's a Nazi. You know, everybody's Nazis on their ice. They're kidnapping people. Even Wall said, kidnapping people and sending them to other countries in torture chambers. Like, come on. You know, that's not happening.
What do you say, David, to people who will argue that Donald Trump is the one who sort of normalized this sort of inflammatory, over-the-top conversation?
No, it's bullshit because, to be honest.
Yeah. Can't say that, David. What do you think? You're the mayor of Minneapolis? You can't say. I mean, this is the problem, right? We want the temperature turned down. And I get what David's saying, but we want the temperature turned down on the other guys. Our guys speaking the truth, but we want the temperature turned down from the other guys. We're going to turn the temperature down right now. Let's take a quick break. I went to the dentist today. I do have a story about the dentist. Is this going to fire people up? Is the dental... I'll tell you who's going to be mad about my segment next. Big Floss. We'll talk about it when we come back.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, let's talk about looking good, feeling good. Let's talk about the best men's clothing store in the Midwest. It is J.H. and Sons, and it is Jason here from my place. I got a guy, and I want you to have a guy when it comes to looking good. J.H. and Sons has unbelievable service. Unbelievable service. It'll remind you of the old days when you go into a store and someone greets you with a smile. They offer you a drink. They ask you how things are going, and then you get to work. You find beautiful fashion, beautiful fabrics from all over the world brought to the heart of Edina and the Galleria. J.H. and Sons has been making men look great in Minnesota for decades. The Halberstadt family is just incredible. And right now, they have their biggest sale of the season in effect. Seasonal sport coats, buy one, get one at 50% off. Seasonal sport wears. So you're talking about your sweaters, your pants, your dress wear, all of this sort of stuff. The non-suits, that's all 30% off. Pretty great deals, but even better people. J.H. and Sons. Sign up for their email list at jhandsons.com. Or better yet, go to the Galleria. It's in Edina. Go see J.H. and Sons and tell them you heard about it from Jason DeRusha. It doesn't get better than a Lexus, and it doesn't get better than the incredible people at Lexus of Wayzata, Lexus of Maplewood. It's Jason DeRusha. So proud to talk about my friends at both of these spots. They are so dedicated to our community. They've stepped up to help us raise money to end hunger in Minnesota, and they're so dedicated to your experience. When Alyssa and I were test driving with Matt at Lexus of Wayzata, I just love how focused he was on what she wanted in a new SUV, making you feel comfortable. Matt has been doing that for 30 years. Jeremy in Maplewood for more than 2 decades. He started as a tech in the service bays. So let me tell you, he knows these cars, and what amazing cars they are. Hauling kids to soccer or hockey. Check out the 3-row Lexus TX. That thing is a beauty. I am in love with the tech forward NX. Smart displays, intuitive wireless connectivity, and killer sound. Take a chance to experience amazing. Get to Lexus of Wayzata or Lexus of Maplewood for a test drive today.
Jordana here. Resolution or not, if you haven't made a plan yet, I'm talking about a life plan, an estate plan, a plan for, your stuff. I know you don't like to think about what might happen if something happened to you, if you became incapacitated or even worse. But you know what? You got to do it. If you don't have that will or living trust or a power of attorney or a healthcare directive, consider this your swift kick in the pants to get it done. And when it comes to estate planning, I recommend my dear friend, Matt Gutman. Matt has helped me so many times. I'm talking medical powers of attorney, plans for the kids when they go off to college, and his full estate plan for me and for Mark. He's done it for my family. He can do it for you too. He and his partner, Jamie Reff Wagner, will do an incredible job for you, and you will be happy it's done. Call Gutman Law today, 612-895-1616. GutmanLaw.com, 612-895-1616. GutmanLaw.com. Peace of mind today for tomorrow.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Your commute's a little bit on the slow side for West 694, Highway 10, over to Highway 252, 610, watching slowdowns in both directions there between 169 and 252, traveling South 45 East and slowing between University and Victoria Street. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
All right, forecast time tonight. Rain to snow early, moves out later tonight, low of 27. Tomorrow, the high is 33. Saturday, flurries early, back to normal with a high of 24. But next week looks pretty warm, too. Crazy stretch week there. 32 on CC.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always, and I mean always, on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
I wish you could see me, wish you could believe me. I ain't gonna do you harm.
Do you guys floss? Do you floss? Do you have guilt? Do you have floss-related guilt? I don't floss, all right? I don't floss. There are a lot of things I do well, like I hydrate like you wouldn't believe. I moisturize, I wear sunscreen, and floss can pretty much pound sand as far as I'm concerned. But before I went to the dentist today, Dan, I did get my plackers, you know, the little green thing with the little floss.
Little plastic piece, yeah.
And I did out of guilt because I had some frozen fruit this morning. And so the hygienist, who is new, everybody's new. My dentist is gone. My hygienist is gone.
Wow.
So the hygienist...
Ever think it was you?
Makes you wonder. So the hygienist is like, our notes say you floss occasionally. I said, well,
our notes say you lie.
Yeah, take a look. It depends what you mean by occasionally. And at the end, after she's applied like the full force of all like 5'4" of her frame on my teeth to scrape the plaque out of there, she said, you know, you could maybe floss, like try maybe once more a week. And here's my view on the absolute fraud that Big Floss has committed on all of you. Why should I floss? Potentially, like if I'm going once a week, I'm going 26 times in between appointments, but you know that I'm flossing 0 times a week. So why should I floss 52 times when I can go to the dentist once and she just cleans it up?
Takes care of it for you.
Takes care of the problem.
And, you know, honestly, they're much better at it than we are.
She's got that water cleaning tool,
yeah,
which I don't care for. I like the old school. Get in there.
Get the string in there.
Little elbow grease. Now, I didn't eat a handful of Oreos before.
I'm sure they appreciated that.
I'm just not that big into floss. And then at the end, the dentist comes through and is like, which, by the way, what a gig. Dentist just like, looks good. I'm like, if it looks good, why do I need to floss? I'm not flossing. I'm 50, almost 51 years old. I've made it this long. You can take your floss and, well, you know where you can put it.
Are you thinking about selling your home this year? The spring market starts next month. Hi, it's Vanita. Do you want to know how you can net thousands more in your home sale? No pressure, no sales pitch, just straight talk, real data, and a clear look at what's happening in our local market right now. My friend, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster of Coldwell Banker Realty, will be hosting another free 50-minute online home seller seminar hosted by Paul Douglas. They're going to dig into what buyers are actually paying a premium for, the small fixes that can add serious value, and the timing strategies that can make a real financial difference. 4 webinar times, Tuesday, February 3rd and Thursday the 5th. 2 online sessions each day at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Space is limited. Sign up today by going to johnschustergroup.com. Click the banner at the top of the page marked Home Sellers Forum.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your face. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Beat the winter blues at the St. Paul RV Super Show, January 15th through the 18th at the St. Paul River Center. See the latest RV innovations, explore vendors, and catch RV seminars. For the kids, live trout fishing, games, and giveaways. Admission is free, so get out of the cold and find your next camper at the St. Paul RV Super Show.
The microphone at the center of Minnesota's news. News Talk 830 WCCO, KMNB HD2, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. Protests in Minneapolis after yesterday's shooting death of a woman by an ICE officer have spread to Los Angeles, D.C., and where reporter Mary Lynn Buckley is, New York City.
Travis Morales from RefuseFascism.com says this crowd is rallying in memory of Renee Nicole Good.
This was all to justify the killing of her. Kristi Noem came out and said she's a domestic terrorist.
Many in the crowd holding signs saying, Kristi Noem, you're not welcome here in NYC.
And Kristi Noem has the gall to call her a domestic terrorist. No, she was a hero of the people. Who are the real terrorists?
Mary Lynn Buckley for CBS News, New York.
Vice President J.D. Vance says the officer who shot Renee Good in South Minneapolis was doing his job and is protected by absolute immunity. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz calls for accountability after the FBI takeover of the shooting investigation.
I think it's clear to everyone as they saw this that it feels now that Minnesota has been taken out of the investigation. It feels very, very difficult that we will get a fair outcome.
NASA cancels a spacewalk due to an astronaut with a medical issue, and it may bring the crew back early. CBS News space consultant Bill Harwood.
It's never happened to NASA, and it's certainly never happened in the 25 years the International Space Station has been continuously staffed. So it's a big deal all the way around.
The medical condition has not been revealed, but NASA says the crew member is stable. President Trump says he wants the government to buy $200 billion in mortgage bonds in a push to bring down mortgage rates. President Trump is also lashing out at a few Republicans who voted with Democrats on a resolution to limit his ability to launch more attacks on Venezuela. CBS's Allison Keyes reports.
Missouri Republican Josh Hawley, one of 5 in his party who supported the resolution, says Congress should weigh in if the president wants to put troops on the ground in Venezuela. But
I don't see this as a backward-looking thing. I see this as a forward-looking thing. If this resolution is limited to Venezuela.
But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the vote sends a signal to the president.
No president, no matter how reckless, no matter how egotistical, gets a blank check.
Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
The House has refused to override President Trump's recent surprise vetoes of 2 bills with bipartisan support. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
One was designed to help local communities finance construction of a pipeline to provide water in Colorado. The other designated a site in the Everglades as part of an Indian reservation. That would have benefited one of the groups that sued over the
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Minnesota's trusted voice. Every hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Cloudy, 34 degrees at 4:03. I'm Laura Oakes. And new this hour, as he alluded to yesterday, Governor Tim Walz is activating the Minnesota National Guard. An executive order says the Guard will serve in a support role focused on protecting property, safeguarding critical infrastructure, and allowing local law enforcement to remain focused on community safety and investigative responsibilities. Meanwhile, demonstrators continue to demand answers.
The ICE officer who shot Renee Good must be arrested, charged, and prosecuted.
And we now know the name of the ICE agent who shot Renee Good in her car in South Minneapolis yesterday. According to the Minnesota Star Tribune, he is Jonathan Ross, the same officer who was dragged by a car and injured during an enforcement operation in Bloomington last summer. As for the criminal probe of yesterday's events, the FBI announcing today it is taking over the investigation, essentially severing its partnership with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, a move that is again raising the ire of state leaders, including Governor Tim Walz.
He says the decision will only further break down the public's trust.
Very, very difficult for Minnesotans to think in any way this is going to be fair when Kristi Noem was judge, jury, and basically executioner yesterday.
He then asked demonstrators to remain peaceful, stay off the freeways, and to avoid any behavior that would justify bringing more federal troops to the state.
That's WCCO's Taylor Rivera. At the Whipple Federal Building near Fort Snelling, waves of protesters occasionally clashing with dozens of federal border control agents.
This woman says she got there after chemical irritants were deployed on those protesting the death of Renee Good.
Have we been kind of talking to the Border Patrol agents? Yes. Have we been talking firmly? Yes. Have we been saying her name, Renee Good? Yep.
Among those who arrived at the scene was the head of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Commander Gregory Bavino, who was seen walking the line, chatting, and even laughing with Border Patrol.
Cussing you out is a highlight.
Mark Fry, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Community groups, meanwhile, are planning a large protest on Saturday in Minneapolis's Powderhorn Park, not far from the shooting site. Mira Altabel Resendez with the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee.
We hope to see everybody in the streets. People are angry. People are ready to fight back. People are ready to stand with their neighbors. And we hope that everybody is with us. We hope to see a huge turnout to show that the Twin Cities, the people are ready. The people are not going anywhere. And the people are ready to stand up and fight back until ICE are out of our cities.
That protest is planned for 1 o'clock on Saturday. WCCO News Time is 4:06.
Time to find out how moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
You'll find things a bit slow traveling South 35E near 7th Street with the accident off to the right side. Get ready for slowdowns past the scene of the wreck. Otherwise, not looking too bad. Just move across the system. There's some slowing for East 36 as you make way past Snelling Avenue, you over toward Lexington. Up on the north side, West 694. Got your slowdowns there as you make the run between Highway 10 and 252. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
And with that, here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The storm system with rain showers that eventually change over to light snow will move out overnight tonight, falling back to 27. Just enough of a breeze that fog shouldn't be much of an issue. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, pretty quiet, but still mild with a high around 33. A reminder that it's winter on Saturday. Northwest wind 10 to 15, a few flurries early, only a high of 24. Now that is average this time of year.
Cloudy right now, 34 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Can't really text? No time to call? Well, we made it easy. When you've got your thoughts together, click the microphone button and use the voice message feature on the Odyssey app. Good questions. Topics you'll probably talk about at dinner. Places to go for dinner. This is the Ride Home Reimagined. Welcome to Drive Time with DeRusha. Now, here's Jason DeRusha.
You know, I don't want to stop talking about fraud in Minnesota. Obviously, the A story in our community right now is the fact that protests are going on. We're hoping for peace. I want to go beyond hoping for peace. I expect peace, not a hope. Raising your voice and speaking out, if you're right, it's a beautiful thing. This nation was founded on protest. And I have no reason to not expect that things are going to be peaceful tonight as they were last night. That is the A story. We're continuing to monitor that. Of course, we'll have more conversation about the deadly ICE shooting, the reaction around the country. The fact that the Minnesota authorities were frozen out of the investigation. They were never going to be the lead. Federal agency, ICE agent, you know that ICE and the FBI was going to be the lead of this thing. But freezing out the BCA just is par for the course and pathetic. But yesterday there was a huge hearing in Congress about fraud in Minnesota. And today the Vice President of the United States announced a new position being created on a national level to look at fraud. Raguse has been covering fraud in Minnesota for years. He is with us, as he has been many, many times, to talk about what he's learned. He's on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. Lou, what a week it's been. First of all, my goodness.
Yeah, thanks, first of all, for having me on, Jason. And yeah, I hardly remember what day it is. It's one of those weeks.
Yeah, it's only Thursday. We had a governor say that he was dropping out of the race for a third term. And to me, there's no doubt that he wouldn't have dropped out if it wasn't for the fact that the temperature was being turned up and the scrutiny was being turned up on the issue of fraud. And then, sure enough, the next day you get this bombshell of a report from the auditor, from the legislative auditor. So when you look at kind of what you're keeping an eye on right now, I mean, it's difficult for regular people to stay on top of it. What are the things that you're watching for?
Well, the fraud, as we've been reporting it, of the government program, mostly involved providers defrauding money for, saying that they're providing services that they aren't really providing. And that's, really what it's been ever since the big Feeding Our Future fraud case, for the most part. This week, I received a tip, though, that I should be at this hearing of the legislative auditor. This is like the watchdog of government programs and taxpayer money. They're a nonpartisan group. They're in a state office, and they select certain programs or things to audit each year, and they do a very in-depth job to see, first of all, if taxpayer money is being spent appropriately, if there is signs of things like fraud, and they go ahead and they make recommendations to the department on changes that need to be made to shore up these programs. And they also make recommendations to legislators if law changes could be needed. And so this particular audit was of the Behavioral Health Administration within the Department of Human Services. That's the embattled state agency, that all this fraud is going on within. But the BHA issues grants that pay for addiction services and mental health services. So basically, all over the state, these programs that offer these much needed services receive funding in part through these state grants. The BHA office issues about close to $200 million each year in grants that pays for these programs and helps many of them exist. And so that was the premise of the hearing.
And in the hearing, really the bombshell, frankly, I am not surprised that in any grant sort of state-run program that has grants going to nonprofits that are doing things that I think, most people would say, yeah, this is important stuff, right? Autism services, food, providing, behavioral health, all these things, important stuff. But I expect at this point, we're going to just keep finding fraud. What I didn't expect was this revelation that people within DHS were apparently doctoring some of the paperwork, trying to cover their tracks a bit. Explain that.
Yeah, it's a very layered thing. As I have continued, I have a story actually tonight at 6:30 and Breaking the News with Janice. So I go far more in depth into this tonight as I continue to look into it. But essentially, when this audit began, a lot of it just involved, okay, can you provide us the documents for this grant, provide us this, provide us that, and the documents were not there; they did not exist. And then all of a sudden, they did exist. And so the auditors looked in the computer system because everything's computerized now, and they can see that these documents were being created just for the auditor. They did not exist prior to that. In one case, they backdated the document by 2 years to make it look like it had been there all along. But of course, there's a paper trail of that they were able to prove, and the offenders even admitted it. So it was falsification of documents, essentially to cover up the mismanagement of taxpayer money.
It's outrageous. Outrageous, right?
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And it really trickled down. That problem there trickled down throughout the rest of the audit, because another explosive claim in the audit involved one of these grants was a $1.6 million grant paid out. And what we were told at the hearing is that $600,000 of it was paid out in the first month, and that the grant manager left DHS and became basically an advisor to the grantee to, in that case, personally profit from the grant money that the grant manager had approved in the first place. But let's get a little bit deeper, because this is what I found out today. So I confirmed that money went to Zion Baptist Church in North Minneapolis, which has a very good reputation for the work that they do within the community. And they were just absolutely flabbergasted and insistent that they turned in this documentation that DHS apparently didn't have.
Huh.
And so to me, it raised more questions about what is going on within DHS that they aren't properly categorizing or filing the proper paperwork that comes back to them.
Lou Raguse is with Care 11. He's with us on CCO Radio. Lou, when you look at all of these cases, right, it started, the Feeding Our Future, the autism services, the daycares, on and on. Are there common threads where you think, like, all right, with Lou is sitting down after work thinking about, okay, like, someday we're going to fix this stuff. We're going to make this better. Are there, from the experts you've talked to, are there a couple of things where you think, like, man, this would really make a major difference?
Well, I sat down and interviewed the state legislative auditor, Judy Randall, for my story for today. And she kind of hit the nail on the head with what I agree with, which is she said that there's this attitude that, oh yeah, we'll trust them. They're doing the good work. We don't have to double check. And there is just not a critical mind on where this money is going to have the proper checks and balances to make sure that the money's being spent properly. I feel like, and this is kind of what Judy was getting at too, there is kind of a pat yourself on the back attitude that you're doing good by sending the money out the door. And then there's just an assumption that the money is helping people and not being wasted. And I think what we've learned is that clearly there has to be a system of double checking that the money is indeed going for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And that's a systemic thing, right? Like, you got to set up, well, even before that, there's a fundamental question of, should the government be providing some of these services directly? I've had some conservatives who on the show who say, like, look, we're usually for smaller government, but we shouldn't be outsourcing core services to, third parties and middlemen. And the more layers you introduce, the more opportunity there is if somebody wants to game the system. I think that's sort of obvious and very obvious now, isn't it?
Yeah, that is definitely, one take on it. And it really, that allowed the way that Minnesota does it, which is outsourcing these programs to private providers and paying them with public funds. It kind of created the playbook for how to defraud it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same. You see it across all of the fraud stories that we do. They're either, overbilling with a real client, or double billing, or claiming to serve the same clients at the same time.
Yeah.
And then it gets a little more egregious sometimes where they're making up clients or claiming to serve somebody they're not really served. So it's double billing, overbilling, and phantom billing. And, until they finally get caught. And that's pretty much the same story every time.
Lou Raguse, appreciate you staying vigilant. I know we can focus and newsrooms can focus on a lot of stuff at the same time. And certainly the ICE shooting is the number one story in our area and in the country. But fraud is also is not going anywhere. So we got to keep on it for sure. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Lou Raguse, check him out, KARE 11, 6:30 tonight on with Jana's Breaking the News. We'll break. When we come back, I do want to talk about the fact that the federal government has frozen Minnesota out of this investigation. And I'm getting a lot of texts about it. I think it's outrageous and it's embarrassing for the federal government. And I'll tell you why when we come back.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Let's go to Ireland. Oh my gosh, this is the thing it's my biggest thing I'm excited about this year. It's Jason, and I would like you to join me on the Shades of Ireland tour. Oh, it's going to be so great. We are going to Ireland with Colette September 13th through the 22nd. 10 days, 14 meals. We're going to Dublin. We're going to Blarney Castle. We're going to see the Ring of Kerry, the Cliffs of Moher, a sheepdog demonstration, a brewery experience. I will buy you a Guinness. Why not? Why not? You don't have to worry about anything. When you travel with Colette, this will be my fourth trip with the great people of Colette. It is such a fun way to travel. Some of the people we've gone on these trips with have become friends back here in Minnesota. You will love the people. You will love the experience. You don't have to worry about anything. 10 days, 14 meals. They take care of all of the hotels and every place that we stop. One night, we're spending an overnight in a castle. An Ireland. I've got no game when it comes to Irish accent. I really don't. So let's go meet the real Irish people. Go to WCCOradio.com. Click on the More tab at the top of the screen. You'll see Shares of Ireland. Or just go to WCCO Radio. There are pop-ups all over the place about traveling with us. Or you can call Colette, 866-436-6734.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you feel embarrassed, trapped, maybe even ashamed just because you own a timeshare? Well, I'm here to tell you you're not alone. Chuck McDowell here, the timeshare cancellation guy. I get over 3,000 complaints a week from all kinds of folks that feel the same way you do. Honest people, teachers, veterans, grandparents, all losing sleep over a timeshare they can't get rid of. That's why 15 years ago, I founded Wesley Financial Group to help people take their lives back. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we would want our own family to be treated. That mindset has helped us cancel over 50,000 timeshares from people just like you. So if you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-261-3377. 800-261-3377. 800-261-3377.
Get your home into the comfort zone with
Metro Plumbing and Drains is here to address all your plumbing and drain repair needs. We prioritize prompt, reliable service tailored to your unique situation. We approach each job with attention to detail and a commitment to lasting solutions. Metro Heating and Cooling of Maplewood.
Get your home into the comfort zone with Metro Heating and Cooling.
Visit callmetroplumbing.com.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Jason DeRusha.
You are hitting on all cylinders today.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Let's go down.
J.D. Vance today said that the ICE agent is protected by absolute immunity, which I did not know was a thing. Heard that today. I have no idea if the ICE agent in this Minneapolis shooting was legally justified. As I said yesterday, I think there were mistakes made by everyone in this scenario. I think it was, and we've heard from a lot of police officers and training experts that agents are trained to not stand in the front of a vehicle because it's dangerous. And we also know, like, no matter what's going on, if you have law enforcement approaching your car, it is never the right idea to move your car. It just isn't. And so mistakes everywhere. But as an American, don't you want an investigation that you can trust? And I get it. Like, the cynics out there will say, like, well, you know that law enforcement's never going to find fault in one of their own. BS. They will, and they have, and we've seen prosecution in Minnesota and all around America. And that is why it is very disturbing to me and makes me wonder what the Department of Justice and the Trump administration thinks they have to hide by freezing the state investigators, the BCA, out of this investigation into what happened yesterday in Minneapolis. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not arguing that the state agency should be the lead. I'm not arguing that Attorney General Keith Ellison should be prosecuting this. Absolutely not. This is a federal law enforcement agent on the job, carrying out federal duties. And so it is very appropriate for federal law enforcement to be the lead investigator. The FBI should be the lead investigator on this. But the FBI has worked with Minnesota on so many cases over the years, so many cases. And so it is so disappointing and so, to me, outrageous that the state of Minnesota would be cut out of this. And today, the leader of the BCA said, look, if the FBI is not going to cooperate, we're not going to have access to the evidence that we would need to even put together any sort of case. Chad had Tom Heffelfinger, former U.S. attorney, on his show today. And here's what Tom had to say.
You're being polite. I'll be less than polite.
Good.
This is a disgusting decision. It is a decision that makes me really upset. First of all, you got to recognize that yesterday, middle of the day, a decision was already made by the U.S. attorney and the FBI to work with the BCA in conducting this investigation. It was only later in the day that the United States attorney, Dan Rosen, he's the guy appointed by Trump. He's the guy who has the position that Andy Luger and I used to have.
Yep.
And he is the one who quite apparently, directed the FBI not to work with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. That means that what happened between the middle of the day and late in the afternoon is that somebody in Washington, D.C., either in the White House, the Justice Department, Homeland Security, told Mr. Rosen, get the state agents out of your investigation.
Yeah, exactly. It's the question of what are they trying to hide? Did they look at some piece of evidence and say, this is going to lead to at least some sort of charge? Now, I have been one to not draw a conclusion. I haven't said whether I think what this agent did was right or illegal or should have done something. I have not. Because I don't think we know enough. I don't think we know enough. I think that you need to know what the officer was thinking. He also appeared to be holding a cell phone, and maybe he has video. Maybe there are other vantage points. I don't know. I think all of that, is it so hard to say I don't know? Does that physically pain people to say I don't know? I don't know. There's a reason we do long investigations, and there's also a reason that you bring other agencies into it. And part of the reason is so we trust it. This happened in our state. Our investigators at the State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension are not, like some of the texters already are like, would you want, if you were a cop, you wouldn't want Keith Ellison or Tim Walz breathing down your neck for an investigation. They hate cops. I do think many in the law enforcement community have convinced themselves of that, and I think you guys are wrong. You're wrong. Do I think there are Democrat politicians who hate cops? Yes. Do I think Keith Ellison and Tim Walz hate cops? No. And I do think it's pathetic that people who should know better like to sort of deal in this sort of nonsense. Now, another texter says, can't the state perform their own investigation anyways? What's stopping them? And I do think there will be pressure for that. But for now, anyway, the BCA said we can't. We have no, I mean, what evidence do they have? The feds controlled the scene. The FBI controlled the scene. ICE controlled the scene. And so Minneapolis could interview people. It would all be interviews. You could use video. But Joe Tamburino told us yesterday, Dan, that the reality is if the state tried to file some sort of charge, it was likely going to get bounced by the feds anyway.
Yeah. Well, what you can't do is you can't interview the person you most need to interview, which is the guy that pulled the trigger.
Oh, such a
because
good
the feds won't make him available if you're not part of the investigation.
Yeah.
If you can't interview that individual, I mean, it's an enormous hole in any case you would try to make at that point.
Yeah.
So it short circuits any attempt by the state to actually do an investigation on their own. I agree with you. I think there's be pressure to just go ahead and try to do an investigation anyway. But there's just zero chance you can do any kind of effective investigation unless you have the cooperation of the feds, and they're not willing to give it.
And I don't think even if the state looked at this and felt like there were crimes committed by the ICE agent, if the federal investigation said there were not, then I would be real nervous about prosecuting it on a state level. It becomes just a political football at that point. It's not about justice. But freezing us out of the information, to me, puts the whole... Already, I was skeptical of what kind of investigation we were going to get from Pam Bondi and the Trump White House. But aren't you super skeptical now? Whenever they don't want to show you something, Epstein files, it does make you skeptical of the whole thing. And I get the people who are like, well, Minnesota, you guys are fraudsters. We can't trust you either. Fair. But also, like, how offensive to career law enforcement agents at the State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, who are the best of the best, to dismiss them as a bunch of hacks, a bunch of political hacks. Like, screw that. Like, I'm not interested in that either.
You know, it's all about, like you said, with politics, it's all about appearances these days, right? And so there's an appearance of impropriety if the feds are going to say, no, we're not going to allow the state to participate in this investigation.
Share the info.
There's also an appearance that the state, isn't terribly good at investigating things. So
yeah. I mean,
it's just a mess.
You got that right. I just think we deserve the ability to see this stuff, see the documents, see what they learned, have it in open court, or have an open process. And if it's done by the FBI and the feds, we're not going to get that. 4:32, we got a break. Let's get you up to date on weather and traffic. And then we come back with DeRusha Eats talking about the food pyramid being turned upside down. Very interesting stuff and interesting new recommendations on alcohol, too. Ugh. I was worried what they were going to do, but I do think this is good news for Jason DeRusha. We'll be back in just a minute.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
So the other day, I was looking to upgrade my sort of January wardrobe. Like the last couple days, if you've been watching on the YouTube stream or on Facebook or on X, you may have noticed I've been wearing a tie. And I'm trying to be down with the quarter zip. The quarter zip, the QZ, as we call it. So I knew where to go to get some fashion advice. I went to J.H. & Sons at the Galleria in Edina. It's Jason here. Guys, it is time to upgrade your wardrobe. If it's back to work, you need a new suit. You need a new sports coat. If you're trying to, impress a lady, little night out on the town, maybe you're taking one of the DeRusha Eats restaurant recommendations. Have you considered that maybe you could wear something other than a hoodie? Dan, no offense. I mean, that was not a direct.
Shots fired.
Not a direct shot. J.H. & Sons can hook you up. Right now, they've got their best sale of the season. Buy one seasonal sport coat. And by seasonal, I mean like it's a fall or winter look. And then you get another one for 50% off. That's their biggest deal of the year. 30% off all their fall and winter sportswear. Sweaters. I went in the other day. They had the vests, the sweaters, the coats, tons of great stuff. Go check it out. At the Galleria, the service will blow your mind. The selection is awesome. It's premium men's clothing. It is DeRusha's fashion headquarters. Get to jhnsons.com.
Saying what needs to be said.
The city of Minneapolis, they are still happy to reside in straight-up fantasy land.
If it's news that's being reported you agree with, then it's okay by you. And if it's not, you don't trust it.
Sharp opinions.
These shots a few months ago were, $1,000. I've got to give credit to President Trump, like him or not.
The president saying, I don't want any Somalis in the country at all. Amy Bach, feeding our future. Where in Somalia is she from?
Solid Minnesota.
I'm concerned about the Minnesota Vikings because the quarterback can't stay healthy.
Talk that feels like conversation, not confrontation.
What is in the playbook of Walmart that has been successful and that Target has missed the mark on?
News Talk 830 WCCO.
Washburn-McCreevy Funeral Chapels and Cremation Services has been providing compassionate and personalized service for over 160 years. Honor your loved one and ensure your own wishes are met. Call 612-377-2203 or visit washburnmccreevy.com.
Are you buying a home? Let the team at Structure Tech help you make an informed purchase with the best home inspection that money can buy. Not only is Structure Tech the most highly rated home inspection company in Minnesota, but they also offer the most comprehensive list of services to accommodate any type of home purchase. Call or text us at 952-915-6466 or go to structuretech.com. When you think of home inspections, think Structure Tech.
Cats are masters at using up their 9 lives, like chasing laser pointers into walls or jumping onto high shelves. But the one thing cats never do, text while driving. So be like a cat and protect your one and only life. Don't text and drive.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Imagine placing an investment or trade without fear. Knowing that big institutions have taken the same trade as you, pushing the price higher, which only they can do. You get to ride the wave of institutional demand. If not, your plan will protect you from the downside. This is how our students are taught to invest in trade. Right now, you can sign up for a free investing class where we'll outline our strategy for following the smart money. Text investing to 210-210. We'll also review strategies for growing a retirement portfolio, how professionals profit when stocks are falling, and how to protect your investments against inflation. With a 25-year history, local classrooms, and one-on-one support, you're not alone. And now it's your turn. Sign up for a free investing class today. Text investing to 210-210. 8210 or go to learnwithota.com.
Stop dreaming and start driving. Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood are your Minnesota homes for the stunning looks, the latest technology, and the best local people. Experience amazing. Get to Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood today.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
MnDOT doing some emergency road repair work. South 35E is midway past Jefferson, heading down to Randolph. Look for left lane to be closed. However, it looks like they might be wrapping things up. Sabago stuff already in place, though, as you come down from 94 East 36, watching slowdowns there from basically Cleveland Avenue, heading out toward Highway 61, and 694 westbound jammed up as you make way between Highway 10 and 252. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hungry? Go to Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan for real Texas barbecue. All meats smoked fresh in-house daily. You can dine in, take out, have it delivered, or have your event catered anywhere in the metro. Just go to Dickeys.com. Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan, the Twin Cities catering leader.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan brings us Chris Schaefer.
Our swing and a miss storm system will move out tonight. 27 the overnight low. 33 will be the high tomorrow. That's still about 9-10 degrees above average. We'll have a mostly cloudy sky. Some flurries are possible early on Saturday. The big deal is it's going to feel like winter again. 24 the afternoon high, which is average, but that northwest wind 10 to 15 will make it feel like the single digits.
Right now, it is cloudy. Chance of rain out there. Looks dry right now. 32 on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRusha, he has the eats.
Nobody brings you the Twin Cities restaurant scene like your favorite foodie. Now, Jason explores some of the great chefs, owners, and stories right in our own backyard. Drive Time now transitions into DeRusha Eats.
And DeRusha Eats is brought to you by our friends at the Minnesota Pork Board. The food pyramid is being turned upside down. New food pyramid announced yesterday by RFK Jr. And it's really different. It's really different. Eat more protein, eat real foods. That is the message. And I don't know, the food pyramid, I remember like we sort of learned it in health class, right? The old food pyramid where it had kind of at the bottom was all of the proteins and the vegetables. So they've just sort of turned it upside down, I guess. My question to you is, are you trying to eat more protein? And do you trust the government to tell you the best way to eat? 651-461-9226. Are you trying to eat more protein? Pretty simple. And how are you doing it? How are you getting more protein in your diet? So here is RFK Jr. announcing the new Real Food Initiative in a news conference yesterday.
As Secretary of Health and Human Services, my message is clear: eat real food. Nothing matters more for healthcare outcomes, economic productivity, military readiness, and fiscal stability. The dietary guidelines shape dozens of federal feeding programs, including Head Start. These standards affect 45 million school lunches every day.
So it's significant, right? I think you look at the food pyramid, and at first, honestly, when I was hearing about this, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, does it? All right. Does it matter? Like, I don't know. Did you spend a lot of time like focusing in on the food pyramid? I guess we learned it in health class. I'll tell you what I was mostly doing, not eating the stuff that was in the food pyramid. Like I probably should have been. Now they have this website that says real food starts here, and it's real food. What is the exact website? realfood.gov. Better health begins on your plate, not in your medicine cabinet. Now, this is going to be very interesting, right? Because obviously here in Minnesota, we have General Mills headquartered here. We have Post headquartered here. So we have companies that make a lot of food. And I don't think you'd describe most of what they're doing as real food. This whole idea is sort of the when I was trying to get healthier, I was taught that what you need to do is eat around the edges of the grocery store. So when you go to the grocery store, you walk in, and usually right away is produce. And then you go to the back, and you got protein. And then you go to the other side, and you have a bakery, like Whole Foods. And the old food pyramid had those sort of grains on the bottom. The biggest part of it was bread and rice and pasta and cereal, 6 to 11 servings a day. And fats, they said sparingly. That was at the top. Meat, 2 to 3 servings. So that was sort of the old way. And now they're flipping it around. And I think it's intriguing. Like, it is sort of the way that I eat, where you're like trying to eat as many vegetables and fruits as possible, as much protein as possible. And protein for sure has been like the hottest trend in food, right? Everybody's trying to get more protein. And I'm just curious how you do it. At 651-461-9226. I'm trying to eat more protein, says a 715er, in the form of meat and nuts and protein shakes. Dairy has been misaligned for years, maligned for years. And bringing whole milk back to school for children is a really important move. I do think that's interesting, right? Where are you guys on milk? Dan, you're not. Are you a milk drinker?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I like milk.
So are you whole? Are you 1%?
1%.
1%.
1%.
So I grew
sometimes I can handle 2, but even that I notice right away, ooh, that's a little thicker. Whole milk is no chance.
I grew up on 2, and Alyssa drank skim.
Yep.
And one of the many compromises and secrets to our successful marriage is we went to 1.
Perfect.
We compromised on milk. The thing that I find interesting in the people who don't want the full fat milk is when you look at the nutritional facts on the back of the milk, like the difference between skim and full fat, it's only like 60 calories in a serving. It's not that different.
No, but
and
it's
even
much
the amount
more
of
about texture and flavor. And
it's texture and flavor.
Yeah.
It feels totally different.
Yeah.
But the actual health difference is not that huge. And so the theory is if you drink full fat milk and you have cheese, that the latest, like cheese and yogurt and milk, the latest health research on this, and low fat is fine, but whole fat is also fine. It's all been linked to lower risk of cardiovascular health. And the director of the Food as Medicine Institute at Tufts University said, in all of the research, the fat content doesn't really seem to make a difference. We had this idea that like fat was
a huge problem. Huge problem.
Remember the low fat era?
Absolutely.
Low fat cookies.
I think as I recall growing up, we were a 2% family. And then all the low fat thing blew up, and then we were down to skim.
Yeah.
And I got used to that after a while. And I've gotten back to 1% in adulthood. But
wait, 2% tastes like a milkshake compared
to skim, for sure.
And you're fine on skim or 1%. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, it's not like it's hurting you.
But you're also fine, at least according to most of the research. Now, you got to be reasonable with all this stuff, right? Like you're drinking a glass of milk versus having like a shake at Baskin Robbins. Like it's a different bit. Whole milk is around 3% fat. And they're saying it doesn't really matter. Now, whole grains, here's the bottom line for me when I think about this, because I try to I'm trying to eat more protein as well.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the protein stuff out there, the protein bars, are loaded with calories. They're very fattening. So do I want to get 15 grams of protein in exchange for 240 calories like I'm having a candy bar?
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
Not really. So
I don't know that I'm trying to get at more protein personally. I'm trying to change the protein that I intake. Get away from not all the way away from red meat, but just reduce. I was doing a ton of red meat in recent years, and just cholesterol issues, right? So more pork, more chicken, more turkey, with some red meat mixed in. The taco recipe that I make all the time now, I try to do half red meat, half pork, just to reduce that a little bit. And say what you want, but my cholesterol numbers have improved.
They've been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the protein thing that is interesting, and here's where this food advice gets complicated for people. Like when you look at the government website, it says the protein target is like, it's this crazy, it's 0.73 grams per pound of body weight per day. Huh? Like, I know we're getting into the science, but some of this stuff, it feels like you're being set up for failure. Because, like, I'm happy for you, but I'm not doing that math. Are you doing that math? No. They also changed the alcohol advice by taking it out. So they used to have a recommended safe amount. So you're recommended to be limited to 1 or 2 alcoholic drinks per day. Now they're saying you should consume less, but there's no limit. And Dr. Oz was saying that alcohol is a social lubricant that brings people together. He said, in the best case scenario, I don't think you should drink alcohol. However, there's probably nothing healthier than having a good time with friends in a safe way. What a shocking statement. And I think it's worth not dismissing it. We can talk about that when we come back. 651-461-9226. DeRusha Eats on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Minnesota pork has always been a lean, high-protein choice, and it is Jason for our Minnesota family farmers, 3,000 of them, every corner of the state of Minnesota, working so hard to take care of you, make sure that lean, nutrient-dense protein is safe and affordable for you and your family. When you go to your grocery store, butcher shop, you might need inspiration. And I always recommend asking the butcher, hey, how would you cook this pork chop? Do you go bone in or bone out? What about a tenderloin? I always hear DeRusha talking about tenderloins. What could I do with that? Pork tenderloin is one of my favorite, most underrated cuts of pork because it's so juicy. It's so easy and it's so versatile. Are you into Mexican flavors? Go for it. Asian flavors, no problem. That pork tenderloin will take any flavor profile that you love that connects with you. You can do it just with seasoning, throw it in the oven. 15 minutes later, you got dinner for your family. So put some flavor on the table. TasteWhatPorkCanDo.com for recipe inspiration. But go to that grocery store, go to the butcher shop, and let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight.
Minnesota, are you ready to break the winter boredom? It's time for the St. Paul RV Super Show, January 15th through the 18th at the St. Paul River Center. Step inside, feel the excitement, all the newest RV innovations, top sports show vendors, and hands-on RV maintenance seminars. And for the kids, we've got live trout fishing, games, and giveaways. A whole adventure waiting for them. It's the perfect midwinter getaway, and admission is free. So shake off the cold, fire up those travel dreams, and discover the camper you've always wanted. January 15th through the 18th at the St. Paul RV Super Show, St. Paul River Center.
When you need someone to listen, a lawyer you know and trust, with respect that you deserve.
Hi, I'm Mike Bryant. Over the years at holiday time, Bradshaw & Bryant has been able to help thousands of central Minnesotans arrive home safely from the bars. This year, there's still lots of things that we can do to ensure that you stay safe on the roads, like slowing down, giving yourself enough time that you're not in a rush, no texting and driving, hands-free phone calls, and of course, no drinking and driving. Please be safe so that you get home to your loved ones. I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. This year, my biggest wish is that we all remain happy, healthy, and even a little more kind to one another.
A lawyer who will fight with confidence and pride. Working harder, going farther, with Mike Bryant on your side. Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant. Get your home into the comfort zone with Metro Heating and Cooling.
Metro Heating and Cooling delivers the highest quality products at the most affordable prices. Products like Train furnaces and air conditioners. For more than 140 years, Train has been setting and resetting the standard. Get your free estimate at metroheating.com.
Get your home into the comfort zone with Metro Heating and Cooling.
Metro Heating and Cooling of Maplewood.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage, no medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Brought to you by Whole Foods Market, 694 northbound near County Road 14 over on the east side of the metro. Crash off to the right shoulder. Traffic is pretty much slow as you come up from I-94, 35 east, slowing both directions between Roselawn and I-94, East 94, jammed up past Huron Boulevard, heading over to Snelling Avenue up on the north side, 10 westbound slows from basically as you come up from 694 to 35W. Save 33% on all supplements with Prime through January 13th at Whole Foods Market. Support your wellness goals with vitamins, minerals, and daily essentials made with strict ingredient standards for quality. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
All right, forecast time tonight. Chance for a little bit of rain out there. Low of 27. Tomorrow, the high is 33. Saturday, flurries early. Going to be cloudy, high of 24. That's an average day, so it'll feel cold, though. Because right now, it is 31 on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha.
Yes.
Right, because that's the appropriate reaction. You should be laughing.
Yep.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Alcohol as a social lubricant. I thought that was so interesting when I heard Dr. Oz say it. And he said it after saying the best case scenario is not drinking. But I am glad that we have a greater understanding today that there are unintended consequences to every action that we take. And to me, the COVID school lockdowns are one of those things, right? Where you say, we did what was objectively the right thing to do. You're concerned about COVID spreading, so we need to keep people away from each other. It made perfect sense. But the consequence of that was, when you isolate people, you have all these other negatives. And so I do think it's very interesting. Now, I don't think this is going to matter. Are people going to hear this and be like, oh, the government said I can have more than 1 or 2 drinks a day? If you think that, you're an idiot, right? Like, you're an idiot. Like, come on. But I do think this idea that there is nothing healthier than spending time with friends and family and having a good time. I think we need to think about that more. A lot of evidence says it's true.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Have you tried comparison shopping for insurance lately? It's Jason for the Canopy Group. I know. You're thinking, Jason. Also, I could just take sharp nails and poke them right in my eye because it sounds atrocious. Nobody wants to spend their free time shopping for insurance, and that's why the Canopy Group says, hey, we got you. We got you covered. The Canopy Group, this is amazing to me. You call 800-967-3389, and they will take your scenario, your zip code, your cars, your home, whatever your scenario is, and they will run it through 16 different companies. It's one-stop shopping for you. They do all the work. They get you the best coverage for the best price. When I called that 800 number, 967-3389, they ran my numbers. They saved my family $800 in a year on my home and auto, and they got me better coverage. You can do it too. TheCanopyGroup.com. Get there today.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRESH to get an extra 35 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRESH for a 35 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRESH for a 35 cents per gallon bonus.
Stop dreaming and start driving. Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood are your Minnesota homes for the stunning looks, the latest technology, and the best local people. Experience amazing. Get to Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood today.
News Talk 830 WCCO, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. CBS News space consultant Bill Harwood says this is a first and a big deal. NASA is cutting short the mission of a U.S., Japanese, Russian crew on the International Space Station because of a medical issue. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman.
I've come to the decision that it's in the best interest of our astronauts to return Crew 11 ahead of their planned departure.
Chief Medical Officer James Polk says the crew member is stable and it is not an emergency, but more tests are needed.
The medical incident was sufficient enough that we were concerned about the astronaut, that we would like to complete that workup. And the best way to complete that workup is on the ground.
He said the issue had nothing to do with the operational environment or the preparations for a spacewalk, which has now been canceled.
In the U.S. House.
On this vote, the yeas are 230, the nays are 196. The bill is passed. And while
a bill to extend expired health care subsidies through the Affordable Care Act passes. It's a rebuke of House Speaker Mike Johnson, who tried to stop it. The Congressional Budget Office said the proposed 3-year extension would increase the nation's deficit by about $80 billion over the decade and increase the number of people by health insurance by millions. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, President Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance described yesterday's deadly shooting of a woman by an ICE agent as self-defense. But the mayor and governor dispute that, citing videos from the scene. CBS's Nicole Skanga is in Minneapolis.
The agent involved in the shooting was not new to the job, had 10 years experience, was based in the Minneapolis area, and was a member of the special response team. So a lot of questions regarding if the agent followed protocol when he first approached that vehicle. The FBI is looking into this and is now leading the investigation.
In which Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says state and local authorities should be included.
The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the BCA, spent the day yesterday attempting to get that accountability. We have learned that the Trump administration has now denied the state that ability to participate in the investigation.
Protests against ICE have spread from coast to coast. 5 Republicans in the U.S. Senate have joined with Democrats to move forward a resolution related to the War Powers Act. It would block President Trump from using further military force in Venezuela. In a Truth Social post, the president called out the Republicans, including Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who drew up the resolution.
You know, this debate is bigger than this particular president. I've had the same opinion under President Obama, President Biden, the last President Trump.
Stocks closed mixed on Wall Street today. This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Minnesota's trusted voice every hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Cloudy, 33 degrees at 5:03. I'm Laura Oakes. Some new developments today in the fatal shooting of Minneapolis resident Renee Good by an ICE officer. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is activating the Minnesota National Guard, an executive order saying the Guard will serve in a support role focused on protecting property, safeguarding critical infrastructure, and allowing local law enforcement to remain focused on community safety and investigative responsibilities. Meanwhile, in a briefing today, Walz talked about how much the state and the Twin Cities has been through in recent months, saying enough is enough.
So please, just give us a break. And if it's me, you're already getting what you want. But leave my people alone. Leave our state alone.
And we now know a bit more about the ICE agent who fatally shot Good. The Star Tribune identifies him as Jonathan Ross, the same officer who was dragged and injured by a fleeing driver in a separate incident in Bloomington last year. Vice President J.D. Vance today accusing many in the media of deciding that Ross was not in danger and defending Ross's actions.
The fact that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive.
Vance also announcing the Trump administration will create a new assistant attorney general position who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud, focusing first in Minnesota, then expanding nationwide. This as investigators with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension have been cut out of what was to have been a joint federal and state investigation into Good's death. As a result, the U.S. Attorney's Office and FBI will have sole control moving forward. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison telling CNN excluding state investigators all but ensures an inherently untrustworthy investigation.
Do what is right, do what is wise, do what is best for this country, and have an inclusive joint investigation that includes cooperation by state and local authorities.
Governor Walz saying the move strips Minnesota of its power to bring possible state charges against Jonathan Ross. And in a statement, U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar says the FBI must work with the professionals at the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension to conduct a thorough and transparent investigation. She says this has to be about justice, not politics. From the Whipple Federal Building today. To Minneapolis's churches.
We are better together. Amen.
Clergy and community leaders making their voices heard over what they are calling ICE's escalation in the Twin Cities.
The message was clear. Help your neighbors. City Council member Jason Chavez.
What we need from the community right now is to continue to patrol our neighborhoods, continue to observe the illegal actions by the federal government because they are completely illegal.
The community has and will continue to stand up, including a protest this Saturday at Powderhorn Park. Ari Bergeron, News Talk 830 WCCO.
And in other news, infectious disease officials with the Minnesota Department of Health announcing today the state will not adopt the CDC's new recommendations, reducing the number of recommended childhood vaccines from 17 to 11. The CDC's new guidance eliminates a dose of the HPV vaccine and drops recommendations for things like hepatitis and meningococcal disease. The state is continuing to align its recommendations with professional groups like the American Academy of Pediatrics. That's according to the MDH's Jessica Hancock Allen.
There are no changes right now in the school and child care requirements in the state of Minnesota. So those remain unchanged.
She says the federal changes reflect policy and process shifts and that there are no new scientific discoveries backing the changes. WCCO News Times, 5:07.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Crash has been cleared. 694 northbound County Road 14. Still some slowdowns as you come up from I-94 as you make way through Oakdale. Get ready for the slowdowns. Traveling West 94 to Minneapolis as move past Riverside. East 394 is a slow ride. 100 into the downtown stretch. And crosstown eastbound, get your slowdowns there as you make way between essentially Tracy Avenue and Cedar Avenue. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
A dry winter can cause crack, itchy skin, and sore throats. Getting a whole home humidifier from Metro Heating and Cooling can help you get in the comfort zone on price and performance. Visit metroheating.com.
Metro Heating and Cooling.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Brought to you by Metro Heating and Cooling. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The storm system with rain showers that eventually change over to light snow will move out overnight tonight, falling back to 27. Just enough of a breeze that fog shouldn't be much of an issue. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, pretty quiet, but still mild with a high around 33. A reminder that it's winter on Saturday. Northwest wind 10 to 15, a few flurries early, only a high of 24. Now that is average this time of year.
Cloudy right now, 33 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
And where the hell has the Twin Cities media been?
We've been right here, Tom, for over 101 years. Right here. News Talk 830 WCCO. He knows news. He knows talk. He knows nonsense, too. So get ready for a lot of each. This is Drive Time with DeRusha. Once again, here's Jason DeRusha.
I enjoyed that. That was very nice. Very nice. We've been right here. Yes, every day. Every day. Good to be with you. Live from downtown Minneapolis, it's Jason, along with Dan, Laura Oakes, keeping you updated on the news. And you, always a part of the conversation here.
Shut up and drive.
Coming up in about 20 minutes or so, I need your help. I need your help because tonight, I'm going on CNN, and they're going to ask me about you. So I want to know, well, I'll ask you more directly. Well, how about this? Dan's laughed at. What are you laughing about over there? What's so funny? So
what would you like to ask, Jason?
Well, I was going to tease that I'll ask you later, but that's dumb. Like, who's going to sit around for 20 minutes? And be like, I can't, what is Jason going to ask us? Like, no one cares. I spent 20 years in TV news doing dumbass teases, trying to get people to sit through a commercial break for some stupid story without a payout. So I don't want to do that to you guys. I just want to know, like, what do you want me to tell CNN? What do you want me to tell the world? What do you want me to tell the country? And if you're busy, and you're listening live on the Odyssey app, you can click on the microphone right next to the Listen Live button and send us a message. If you were on CNN tonight to talk about how life is in Minnesota, how Minnesotans are feeling with all that's going on here, what would you say? What should I tell them? So let us know on the talkback button right on the Odyssey app. Every day from 5 to 5:30, we bring you up to date on the biggest stories of the day. We go in depth. We will do that after we do the lead.
The headlines you might have missed without missing a beat. This is your fast pass through the biggest and most impactful stories of the day. Welcome to the DeRush Hour Headlines, starting with the lead.
And once again, our lead story here in Minnesota is the same lead story that the rest of the country is watching, and that is the fallout, the protest, the response to an ICE shooting, killing in Minneapolis. Today, we heard from the Vice President of the United States, who said the ICE officer who shot a woman in her SUV as she was driving in his direction was justified. He was just doing his job. He was covered under absolute immunity. Not even quite sure what that means. We also learned that the feds are booting Minnesota out of the investigation. So let's break down some of the developments going on today. The latest development is that the governor of the state has put the National Guard more officially This is different from where we were at yesterday, but now the National Guard is being authorized to be staged. That news coming from Governor Walz by way of an executive order. That executive order is basically I don't know, how would you describe it? It's sort of the standby order. It's the order that protects the state from what happened during the riots after the murder of George Floyd, where it took a couple of days to kind of get things going and get the National Guard called up. It was slow. And so Executive Order 26-01 does put the National Guard on standby. So the Adjutant General can now put National Guard personnel on active duty. So this is that extra tool. And the governor is saying we have every reason to believe that peace will hold. Yesterday, we saw thousands of people peacefully making their voices heard. And I will say, I'm nervous. I think anyone who lived through the protests after the murder of George Floyd would be nervous. But I'm also hopeful that people know, and whatever your political views are on this situation, I think all of us would agree that if protesters lose their minds and burn stuff down or clash in a violent way with law enforcement, you are giving your political opponents absolute political ad. You are proving their point. You are giving credence to the nonsense that the victim in this case was intentionally trying to ram an officer, was a domestic terrorist, all of that, which we know is BS. But you also know that if protests get out of control, it will feed that narrative for sure. So the National Guard is standing by. Next, I want to talk about the feds booting the BCA from their investigation. And we talked with Joe Tamburino yesterday, and he telegraphed this same thing coming. We knew that the federal government was going to be the lead in the investigation as to whether this ICE agent did anything legally wrong. And they should be. The FBI should be the lead agency in this. This is a federal agent carrying out federal orders of federal law and discharging his weapon in the course of his federal job. So the FBI should be the lead on it. And also by freezing the state of Minnesota out from seeing the evidence, from hearing the interviews, from being a part of all of this, it leaves us as Minnesotans in the dark, and it leaves former U.S. Attorney Tom Heffelfinger responding to Chad Hartman. Tom sounded pissed.
You're being polite. I'll be less than polite.
Good.
This is a disgusting decision. It is a decision that makes me really upset.
Tom Heffelfinger saying this is just not how things have been done in the past. The Minnesota BCA is an agency beyond reproach, and there's no reason for it to go the way it is. One other topic related to this that I wanted to talk about during the lead, and that is the decision by the public schools in Minneapolis to cancel classes today and tomorrow. There has been a lot of noise made about action at a school, Roosevelt School in Minneapolis. And today, the feds said, look, we were not carrying out any sort of action at the school. And official policy of the Department of Homeland Security, release date September 9th, 2025, is that ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, does not raid or target schools. Now, do we fully believe that that's what it's going to be? I don't know. But the reality is, ICE is saying, high schools are in neighborhoods around other activity, and we were carrying out activity in the neighborhood, but we were not doing anything with the school. I do raise this just food for thought. In a time of uncertainty, in a time of fear, in a time of concern, is the best place for Minneapolis kids their homes alone. I understand why the school thinks that having kids at school in a time when kids are afraid is maybe a bad idea. But to me, it seems like the absolute opposite way we should be going. What better place than schools? Surrounded by friends, surrounded by loving educators, surrounded by support and counselors. And our public schools said, you know what? We know we're all worked up over this Roosevelt thing, and so we're canceling school for 2 days. They were not allowed to go to e-learning because state law doesn't allow that for this particular circumstance. But I don't know, maybe parents feel otherwise, but I just think school is the place for kids to be. St. Paul announcing today they are not taking their kids to Minneapolis. Are we being overly cautious, or is this how volatile things are out there? I don't know. Remains to be seen. It is 5:18. In a minute, we're going to go in-depth. And our in-depth conversation will be with an attorney and an expert in use of force as well. Let's talk about the laws. Let's talk about the legal investigation. Because I got questions about the difference between the first shot and then the second 2 shots that were fired. We've all gone Zapruder on the video. We'll talk to Rob Doar in a minute.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Chris Lindahl wants to give you a red check. It's Jason here for my friend Chris Lindahl and Chris Lindahl Real Estate. Have you seen the video yet of Chris Lindahl bringing people red checks? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because a guaranteed cash offer is a guarantee. It's the best thing about it. You have nothing to worry about when you're going to Chris Lindahl and getting a guaranteed cash offer. There's no fuss. There's no headache. There's no problems. And if you're lucky, Chris will bring you one of these giant red checks and you'll get to meet the guy that I know. Chris is a Minnesotan. He's one of us. He loves this state and he loves solving problems for you. That's what the guaranteed cash offer does. If you go to chrislindahl.com, right now at the top of the page, there is a guide as to whether you should list on the open market or do the guaranteed cash offer. It's the free Smart Seller Guide. I think you're going to want to check it out. If you have a home that you need to get rid of quickly, guaranteed cash offer may be perfect for you. Get that big red check. Go to chrislindahl.com today and say yes to your giant red check.
Minnesota, are you ready to break the winter boredom? It's time for the St. Paul RV Super Show, January 15th through the 18th at the St. Paul River Center. Step inside, feel the excitement, all the newest RV innovations, top sports show vendors, and hands-on RV maintenance seminars. And for the kids, we've got live trout fishing, games, and giveaways. A whole adventure waiting for them. It's the perfect midwinter getaway, and admission is free. So shake off the cold, fire up those travel dreams, and discover the camper you've always wanted. January 15th through the 18th at the St. Paul RV Super Show, St. Paul River Center.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or pick some up today at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery. Are now available at Wegmans. New year, new you, new Nordic.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, let's go in depth with local attorney Rob Doar. Rob is with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline because I was fascinated with your analysis of the kind of use of force question, which is something that certainly federal investigators and the FBI will be looking at. Sadly, the state investigators appear to be frozen out of that process. Rob is with us. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Jason. Good to see you.
So
Good to talk to you.
It's great to talk to you, too. I'd love for you to talk through. There are quite a number of legal cases that sort of get into whether the ICE officer in this case may have been legally justified to shoot, the difference between the first shot and then the second and third shot. Some of this stuff gets really into the nitty gritty, but you were breaking it down in a very interesting way. So when you now that you've had some time to look at multiple angles and think this through, when you run this analysis, what are some of the factors that you think, all right, here's what the experts are going to look at as to whether or not this was justified?
Yeah, I think, ultimately it comes down to Graham versus Connor, which is a Supreme Court decision that dictates how courts analyze the use of force by police officers. And with that, there's two kind of main thresholds. One is that it's going to be objectively reasonable, and the other is that it's going to look at the totality of the circumstances. So throughout the encounter, you're looking at what's the totality of the circumstances, and this is from the perspective of the police officer. You're looking at the metric is what would a reasonable police officer in this situation do compared to the actions of the officer that used force. And with that analysis, you kind of have to go step by step. There's further case law that says you don't take it like frame by frame and say, okay, is use of force still justified? It's a totality of the circumstances. But the totality of the circumstances also includes officer conduct. Officers can't create a risk and then utilize that risk to use deadly force.
So that goes to one of the first questions I had, which was about the ICE agent standing that, while this car was sort of on an angle, but, blocking the road. And there are plenty of questions still, like, was this person actually like trying to block ICE agents? Were they someone who got caught up in this? Were they like, what was this? But the fact remains, if your vehicle is somewhere and you get approached by law enforcement, I would say the best option would be to stay in park, not move your car, get out of the car when the officers want you to get out of the car. That said,
yeah,
right. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. I mean, the best course of action, if you feel like your rights are being violated for your own safety, is to comply to the best of your ability with the orders that are given, remain silent, and then there's other ways to seek legal remedies. But also, there are circumstances where people are in legitimate fear of their own safety, and the law does provide some avenues for them as well to protect their own well-being.
So in this case, when you have two officers coming up towards the driver's side door, one other officer coming from the other side, and that officer sort of posts up at the hood, which to me also was a questionable decision. Why would you post up in front of a vehicle? And since having that observation, I've seen a number of like law enforcement training officers who have said, in fact, we train our officers to not post up there because of the danger. That said, when you is that enough to say like, well, this guy screwed up, he shouldn't have been there, so that makes this a bad shoot?
Yeah, and that's part of the analysis is going to be the totality of those circumstances and whether that officer's conduct was objectively reasonable. But on the other side of that, even if an officer was unreasonable in some conduct, if the situation changes and they need to use deadly force, that previous unreasonable conduct doesn't necessarily deprive them of self-defense. I think what the big open question here is, all of us, there's a lot of gaps there, and a lot of us are kind of filling in our gaps. Some people are filling it in with their own biases.
Yeah.
And we just don't know. If the officer was shooting because he was in legitimate fear for his life, even if his positioning was unreasonable, that still may be deemed a justifiable shoot. If he was shooting to stop the person from getting away, that wouldn't be reasonable, and he wouldn't be justified in that action.
Rob, when one of the challenges here is that if you're a law enforcement officer and you discharge your weapon, when are you ever going to say that you were not in fear of your life? I mean, of course you're going to say that. And I don't know, he probably was afraid. I would guess, like, nobody wants to just fire. I really don't believe that the number of people that go into law enforcement because they want to shoot someone is about zero. So how do we really know? Like their words in saying, like, yes, I was afraid for my life. How that isn't the final part of the analysis, right?
No, it would be then it goes to that objective reasonableness. Would would an officer in that situation be reasonable to be afraid of their life in that circumstance? And then with the totality of the circumstances is, you were afraid of, one analysis could be you positioned yourself in a position that's against policy and against kind of common sense, and then utilized that position to create it was basically your fault.
It was your fault.
That you created that situation that required you to use deadly force. That's an analysis that's going to happen.
Rob Doar is with us. He's an attorney in Minnesota. He has studied this issue and studied these cases. When you look at, the other fact that we learned today, that the ICE agent was involved in an incident in Bloomington not too long ago that ended up in federal court because he was trying to drag a guy out of a car, and the suspect in that case dragged this guy, like stepped on the gas and dragged the ICE agent. When you're defending yourself, because J.D. Vance today said, well, if you were this agent, wouldn't you be a little jumpy about somebody with a car because he was just dragged and nearly killed months ago? Is that a valid justification under the law? I think from a human perspective, you sort of get it. But also, I hope you're not on the job with a gun as a law enforcement officer if you're jumpy because you had an incident with a car.
Yeah, I think, that argument that J.D. Vance is making kind of cuts against the officer. One, because if you are jumpy, if your conduct, if your body's reactions are not what the normal officers would be, then you're kind of outside of that bubble of an objectively reasonable officer because you're not in the correct frame of mind. But then on the other side of that too is that this is an officer that is keenly aware of the risks of approaching a fleeing vehicle, and should know better about their positioning and where the decisions that they make regarding how to approach and handle a vehicle that's trying to get away.
It's also tragic and sad, and from a legal standpoint, these cases are always really interesting. I think the legal part of this, everyone thinks they know what should have happened here, but the legality is tough. And I feel like we don't know enough yet. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is interesting that when I posted my analysis, I was looking at what the courts are going to analyze without really drawing any conclusions, and everybody kind of projected their own conclusions or the opposite conclusions to try to get me into a debate. And all I was doing is saying, hey, these things are arguable, and the fact that you're arguing about it, it's kind of just proving me right.
Right. They are arguable. Really good. Appreciate the insight and your analysis as well. You can follow Rob on social media at Rob Doar. We appreciate it. Thanks, Rob.
Anytime, Jason. Thanks.
That is the DeRush Hour News Headlines here on CCO. We're going to break in just a minute. What do you want the world to know about Minnesota and Minneapolis. I will be on CNN tonight. I'll tell you what time, what show, but I want to know what you want the rest of the country to hear about us. 651-461-9226. Drive Time, back in a minute.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Wesley Financial.
Apple debuted a new AI model called Sharp that could turn a simple two-dimensional image into a three-dimensional scene. Apple says that's accomplished in less than a second, with a 3D image produced by Sharp rendered in real time, yielding high-resolution photorealistic images for nearby views. Although users can't move far away from the vantage point of the photo, as unviewed parts of the scene aren't synthesized. I'm Jason Brooks.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation. Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-959-3388. That's 800-959-3388.
When it was time for me to be in a fashion show, where do you think I went? It's Jason here for J.H. & Sons Premium Men's Clothing at the Galleria in Edina. The Halberstadt family's been making guys look amazing in Minnesota for more than 50 years. They started in St. Cloud. Maybe you've been to Halberstadt's in St. Cloud. Now they're all over the Midwest. Sioux Falls, Des Moines, Omaha. You bet they're right here back home in the Twin Cities at the Galleria. What better place, right? The Galleria in Edina, terrific shopping center. And J.H. & Sons is your home for the best men's suits, the best men's overcoats, the best men's sport coats. And right now, with the fall and winter sport coats, which I was just in the store this weekend, you can pop in, get yourself one of those sport coats, and the next one you buy is 50% off. Buy one, get one 50% off. All the fall and winter clothing is 30% off right now. So great prices, their biggest sale of the year. But the biggest message from me about J.H. & Sons is that you're going to experience service that'll blow your mind. Go see Kevin, go see Chuck, go see Dean. The whole team is unbelievable. They'll take care of you. Tell them Jason sent you over there. J.H. & Sons, you can sign up for their email list at jhndsons.com.
Why are you wearing a cowled robe?
Druids celebrated this time of year with month-long festivals, so Barufka's Happy January event runs through January 31st.
No goat sacrificing?
How about free metro delivery, free removal of your old furniture, and no down payment, no interest financing for up to 24 months? Now, I'd like to finish the Barufka henge.
Oh, Jim. Barufkas, no gimmicks, haggling, or hard-to-understand pricing.
In Minnetonka, Woodbury, and Burnsville. Decidedly.
Are you thinking about selling your home this year? The spring market starts next month. Hi, it's Vanita. Do you want to know how you can net thousands more in your home sale? No pressure, no sales pitch, just straight talk, real data, and a clear look at what's happening in our local market right now. My friend, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster of Coldwell Banker Realty, will be hosting another free 50-minute online home seller seminar hosted by Paul Douglas. They're going to dig into what buyers are actually paying a premium for, the small fixes that can add serious value, and the timing strategies that can make a real financial difference. 4 webinar times, Tuesday, February 3rd and Thursday the 5th. 2 online sessions each day at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Space is limited. Sign up today by going to johnschustergroup.com. Click the banner at the top of the page marked Home Sellers Forum.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Crash on the ramp, Hanson Boulevard, eastbound Highway 10. Activity off to the right side. Traffic is a bit slow anyways, make way through the area. Headed for westbound slows, Riverside into Lowry Hill Tunnel, 35 east southbound. Jammed up Randolph down to Highway 62 in the crosstown eastbound. Get ready for your slowdowns there as you come away from Tracy Avenue to Cedar Avenue. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
All right, CCO forecast brought to you by Gutman Law, Wills, Trust, and Probate Law, gutmanlaw.com. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Our swing and a miss storm system will move out tonight. 27 the overnight low. 33 will be the high tomorrow. That's still about 9-10 degrees above average. We'll have a mostly cloudy sky. Some flurries are possible early on Saturday. The big deal is it's going to feel like winter again. 24 the afternoon high, which is average, but that northwest wind 10 to 15 will make it feel like the single digits.
Brooklyn Park, 32 degrees, little breezy, feels like 22. Looking at live radar, there is like a little streak of like light snow coming right through the center of the Twin Cities. Here on CCO.
Drive time with DeRusha.
Can't we have some fun anymore in a time where all we do is argue about everything? Can't we just have some mindless entertainment?
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
I'm looking at the radar. It's light rain everywhere. And a little Buffalo, you're getting a little snow. I mean, they say, is this what I should talk about? Is this what I should talk about in the show on CNN tonight? That we're grateful for a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow, a little bit of cooler temperatures. Maybe it's keeping people's temperature a little cooler. So I got an email today, and I've always wondered, like you're watching CNN or Fox News, did you see these local radio hosts, like giving their viewpoint as to kind of what's going on in their community? And so I get this email at about a little before noon asking if I'm available for an interview at 11 p.m. And they want to talk about the mood in the greater Minneapolis area after, and then they list all this stuff. And I tell you, when I read the list of everything that's gone on here, like we're doing it, we're in it every day. And when you see this list, you're like, well, I'm going to need like a cigarette before I go on this show, and I don't smoke. Like it's ICE shooting, immigration crackdown, rhetoric about the Somali community, Governor Walz dropping his reelection bid, fraud, assassination and attempted assassination of state lawmakers. You know, I posted on LinkedIn today because every once in a while I like to talk to 48-year-old kind of upper and middle managers. You know, is that what LinkedIn is? I actually like LinkedIn. You can have like real conversations without people yelling, "You're a commie, DeRusha!" Like it's nice. And I just posted that I love Minnesota, that I love this state. And with all the stuff going on, you sort of feel a little exhausted. Like the rest of the world, the rest of the country, the way they think about us right now is like, oh, you guys are the fraud people. You guys are the. It's like, I don't like being the main character. Well, I personally like being the main character. Natch, come on. Nobody believed that. Cook is like, what? You thrive on being the. I don't like our state being the main character because bad actors who don't give a rip about us descend on this place, use it for clicks, use it for clout, and then they leave. And they torch our reputation and they don't care. So what should I tell the world tonight? Steve is in Minnetonka. 651-461-9226. Steve, I don't know. CNN is desperate. They want me on the show tonight. So what should I tell them?
Minnesota's an interesting subject. I get those kind of calls like, what's going on in your state?
Yeah.
And one, I would make it clear, it's Hennepin and Ramsey. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the rest of the state is probably more like the rest of the country. But, you know, the Wall Street Journal has had an article about every day on us. And they had an editorial recently, and they blamed it on the welfare state here.
Yeah.
That we're very generous. Even Walls said that.
We talked about that topic on the show. Are we too generous as a state? It's a really interesting question, right? That fundamentally gets out a lot of the way we do our business.
Yeah, and I think we're Minnesota too nice. Like with the ICE thing, there are political factions here that get mobilized. And you mentioned that, we are kind of anti-law enforcement, but we are really anti-ICE enforcement right now.
In the cities, for sure. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is politically motivated. They're trying to make other points. They've always hated Trump, the protesters that were there. And this kind of puts them in that mode. And so it's complicated, but it is particular to Minnesota, I believe. And if you study it long enough, you'll understand it.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. I do think, and we've talked about this on the show, I do think that you have to evaluate our generosity as a state in the context of the history of this, which is our history has been a very religious driven, the Lutherans and the Catholics driven idea that we want to be a sanctuary for people who are in hard times and people who want a better life. And I think that's a good thing. I actually don't think the generosity is the problem. I think the way we deliver the generosity is the problem. That's my belief. But if we're not willing to change the way we deliver our generosity, then we got to be less generous. I think it's one choice or the other. It's not we could do this, no. We either need to fundamentally change the way that we support people in need, or we have to do less of it. Because what's going to happen here is, even among people who want to be generous, if you don't trust, I don't mind living in a high tax state. I really don't. I know some of you are like, tax, blah, blah. I don't care. If results are good, I don't care. But if I don't trust the results are good, if I don't trust that my money is being used to actually help people who are in need, well, boy, then the low tax states start looking much more attractive to me. So that's my view. Howard in Minneapolis, you're on CCO. Howard, what would you tell CNN tonight?
From the Minneapolis to the Big Apple, what would Prince have sung about George Floyd? What would Prince have sung about yesterday? Prince is answering by turning the lights of Broadway purple. The song that Prince wrote in 1997, 7 years and we're still here. I'm going to sing that tonight at the Green Room from Minneapolis. I was at 34th in Portland yesterday, and I was with one of the same officers who was with me at Annunciation. We are Minneapolis strong. We are the North Star to the nation. The lights of Lady Liberty's torch might be dimmed. The shining city on the hill in D.C. might be dimmed, but the Minnesota North Star is shining bright.
Howard, I appreciate you. Thank you for that. I do think that's part of our story, right? It's hard when you become sort of caricature in the national scene. Because we're more than that. I wonder if, to a certain degree, like if you lived in Florida, this is how you felt when the Florida man was always like the punchline. Where I think Minnesota has become kind of a punchline. Texters say, we overall are socially liberal and conservative fiscally. We want to help others, but trust and verify. Is that where we are overall? I don't know. I think it's pretty complicated. We, I think, are not as different as we like to think we are. I think we are like many states that have one big city. Sorry, St. Paul, I'm lumping you in. But have one big metro area. And the rest of the state is farm country. We are very liberal in the cities and very conservative in the rest of the state. And it didn't used to be that way in Minnesota, though. because the DFL had the Iron Range locked up, and that's no longer the case. And to me, we are not as unique as we used to be, which kind of stinks, right? Lots of text coming in. Keep it coming. I will be on from, at some point, I'll probably get 5 minutes. And if the host is like me, he'll do most of the talking. I mean, the show I'm on is called The Story Is with Alex Michelson. He's a longtime news anchor in Los Angeles who now hit the big time on CNN. So should be good. Keep the text coming. What should I tell the country? What would you tell the country about Minnesota right now in this moment? Drive Time, back in a minute on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Should I tell them that I lost 45 pounds thanks to Livia Weight Control Centers? How big of a check do you think Livia would send me if I did that? It's Jason here. I'm not doing that. But I am proud to tell you about the success I have with Livia because I believe that you can do it as well. You've tried the shortcuts. You've tried the quick fixes. You've tried the plans that promise that if you just do this one thing, it'll fix everything, but it didn't deliver. What I have for you is the Livia Reset. Your future self is going to thank you for it because at Livia, weight loss is personal. I experienced this firsthand. I am a food critic. I love eating out. I love food, but I just could not do it alone. I couldn't. I thought, I'll cut this out. I'll change this. I'll do that. I could not. Livia helped me get there. I lost 45 pounds and I've kept it off. This is the difference. I've kept it off for more than 3 years. It's more than a prescription. They have the medical experts, the best GLP-1 program around. They have the nutrition experts if you want to do the personalized nutrition program that I did. This guidance, personalized guidance, starting at just $69. Let's go. Join Livia today. It's real people. It's real care in your community, real results. I did it. You can do it too. Visit Livia.com, LIVEA.com. Your future self will thank you.
What if WCCO had been there during the most epic events in ancient history?
Oh, Adam, I really think you should take a bite of this.
But Eve, isn't this from the...
Shh, eat.
Breaking news. Sources have confirmed eating the forbidden fruit is definitely forbidden. Another top story we're covering, the forecast today looks perfect with a 100% chance of exile.
If it mattered, WCCO was probably already covering it. History has always happened here. News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hi, guys. This is the Rocket Roger Clemens. You don't pitch in the majors for 24 years without feeling it later. Shoulders, elbows, knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do.
That's baseball legend Roger Clemens.
I tried the ice. I tried rest, PT, nothing really worked. When I heard about QC Kinetics, the concept sounded promising. Non-surgical regenerative treatments that help your body heal itself without surgery. Sign me up, just what I needed, real lasting relief.
Whether you're a former pro, a weekend golfer, or just want to walk around pain-free again, QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge technology and natural biologics to help restore and repair damaged tissue.
I trusted them with my joints. Now I'm back doing what I love.
Call QC Kinetics today and schedule your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123. 612-254-7123.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's up, guys? It's Candace Dillard-Bassett, former Real Housewife of Potomac.
And I'm Michael Arsenault, author of the New York Times bestseller, I Can't Date Jesus. And this is Undomesticated,
The podcast where we aren't just saying the quiet parts out loud.
We're putting it all on the kitchen table and inviting you to the function. If you're ready for some bold takes and a little bit of chaos, welcome to Undomesticated. Follow and listen to Undomesticated, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Got some slowdowns out there on the south side of the metro, traveling westbound 494. Pretty much as you come away from 35W, heading out to 212. North 169, got your slowdowns there, 62, heading up toward 394 and 494 northbound. That's heavy Rockford Road to the Fish Lake interchange. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Forecast is brought to you by Gutman Law. Tonight, rain to snow early. Moves out. It's light rain, light snow right now. Low at 27 tonight. Tomorrow, 33. Saturday, flurries early, 24, but we're back in the 30s next week. Right now, it is 29 on CCO.
Your daily detour into sharper conversation. Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Honey got a sexy on steaming. She give my hotness a new meaning.
What if I get bumped tonight, Dan?
It could happen.
It, of course, could happen.
All the time with breaking
Cable news,
news,
breaking news,
Yeah.
whatever. Now, 11 o'clock at night. So if you were going to be on the network at 11 o'clock at night, the big cable news.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do from now until then?
I just drink coffee the whole time. Just get loaded on caffeine.
Just
so before 11 o'clock comes, you're ready to go.
Now, the other thing I have to think,
and I would wear a smoking jacket on that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like what I'm wearing right now, the webcam it's a little like uncertain.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna have to change. I mean, is it bad? I don't know. Who knows? I don't want to look too like I'm a radio host. I don't want to look too like newsman guy.
But you
what
were
if I'm in my silk pajamas?
I mean, I'd love that for sure. I mean, we were just talking the other week about trying to bring back the tie.
True.
So is this an opportunity to bring back the tie?
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of options. A lot of options for me.
I mean, you do have some WCCO gear. You could, give the station a little plug.
No chance. No chance I'm wearing. Are you serious? I think I gotta wear this ridiculous, like, gold. And I mean, our colors for this radio station.
They're bold.
Boof.
Bold North, baby. You gonna work that phrase in? Well, here in the bold North.
We just had the World Juniors. We love the ice. You know where I'm going to go tonight? An ice bar. There's a Butcher and the Boar.
You're going to get liquored up before you go on CNN?
Hell yes. Don't you think it'll be a little better if I get just a little shined up, just a little bit?
It's an interesting strategy.
Texters say, we look forward to the spring, summer, fall, and winter. We're blessed to see nature bloom, thrive. See it start to go to rest and let winter put it to sleep under snow and ice. It's true. Another texture.
I don't know that's exactly what CNN's looking for, but I mean, it is true of Minnesota.
I wouldn't want to live in any other place. I'm in rural Minnesota, surrounded by Republican. You have to be careful how we talk because we are few. I assume this is a Democrat. My friends are Democrats. They live in rural areas in the state. I will say, like, one of the interesting things because I do empathize with people who live in rural Minnesota, that you feel forgotten, you feel ignored. You know that geographically you are the majority of the state. But the people are in the metro. The people are in the metro. It's just the reality. And it's why Democrats don't need the Iron Range anymore, because they can win just by winning in the metro.
They need the metro. They need Rochester, Duluth, maybe a little out of St. Cloud, and that's it.
That's it. Jason, tell them that Juicy Lucy's are a fraud.
There you go. Love it.
They are
Perfect.
a fraud. Now, I love that we have something that's ours, Right? So that's my Juicy Lucy.
There is nothing more Minnesota than saying that thing's mine, and here, let me tell you why it sucks.
Yes. That's why I'm a great Minnesotan. Although I'm a carpetbagger, you got to bear that in mind. What do I know?
You weren't born here.
Tell CNN we want to return to being flyover country. We're tired of being in the news.
I think exhaustion is a very apt term for most of Minnesota right now.
That's what I told them, for sure. St. Paul, always ignored, says a texter. Another texter says, wear a Buffalo Check t-shirt. Should I go like Tim Walz running for office on the bit? Like, go all in, coach? Texter says, I haven't watched CNN for months, but I'll check you out tonight. That's very kind. I'll try not to screw it up. I don't know. How long's it been since I've been on TV? I'm not sure I remember how to do it. Henry Lake, next, yes? What are you telling me? Are we done?
Not quite yet.
Oh,
I jumped the gun a little bit.
You were ready to go. That's fine. You want me to be done now? Now we're done. See you tomorrow.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier.